Kaizen and Kaikaku, continuous versus radical improvement. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the heart of Kaizen, and we're going to really be able to lock that in for any of our companies, and Kaikaku, which is the more radical change. And I'm going to talk about both of those as they apply to construction, so if you're interested in that, please stay with us in this video. I am so stoked about this video. Let's first talk about Kaizen. Kaizen is to make better. It's continuous improvement, and one of the ways it was taught in the US was in like a 1, 2, 3 day workshop. So people thought that Kaizen or continuous improvement can only happen in meetings or workshops. And it's not a big deal, it's not a problem, but you know, companies will say, I'm going to have a Kaizen event that's going to take a day or 2 days or 3 days. It doesn't have to take 1, 2, or 3 days. Kaizen can happen, spot Kaizen, and I'm going to talk about both. Spot Kaizen or system or process Kaizen can happen boots on the ground. It can be like, oh, I see something that bugs me, like Paul's saying, let's go implement Kaizen. Let's make something better. And it can be small, or it can be process driven or system based. But it's out in the field, one-on-one, everybody's allowed to do it. You don't have to wait for the meetings. The way the Americans got confused is when people were teaching Kaizen, they did it in a 1, 2, 3 day seminar. And so then people thought Kaizen only can happen in a 1, 2, 3 day engagement, but it can happen in spots. Now, spot Kaizen is where you're doing one little thing, like the little Paul Akers fix what bugs you. That's all fantastic, because any improvement is going to help the system. Paul makes a very good point of don't improve things that shouldn't exist at all. Let's not organize waste. There's nothing so wasteful as improving something that shouldn't exist at all, right? Elie Goldratt and his kids, Dr. Efrat Ashlag Goldratt and then Remy Goldratt, talk about if you have your system and your bottleneck is here, but you're making an improvement over here, you really need to make your improvements at the bottleneck, but spot Kaizen is fine. One of the things that Taiichi Ohno say to the mentors is, this is a spot Kaizen, but how does it apply to the whole process? So remember that story I told you where Toyota had come up with this really neat way to chop off this little corner piece of metal, and it was really lean, it didn't need a motor, no extra money, but Taiichi Ohno was like, interesting. How can you prevent that even farther upstream? So he wasn't just looking at the spot, he was looking at the whole system, the whole process. So Kaizen is crucial. Now when we think of Kaizen, we just think of improvement, but remember some of the other videos I've done, Kaizen, as was taught to me by the Japanese, is love of the customer, pride in your work, and the acknowledgement of the employees, which means employees have to feel like they're a part of it and be acknowledged. And here's the analogy, and Paul and I went through this, and he created a slide. And this is from Mr. Yabe from Tese. He said that if TPS and lean are the seeds, and the company and the people are the ground, your ground is hard, and you can't get improvements or the TPS or lean, but the water and the fertilizer of the soil is Kaizen, and Kaizen is love of the customer, pride in the work, and acknowledgement of the people. Until we acknowledge the people, boots on the ground at the Gemba people, we're never going to get this. Now let's talk about the bigger one, Kaikaku, and this is the more radical change. It's not exactly the same, but I'm going to liken it to the bigger items, like we're going to switch out a piece of equipment, or we're going to change the overall sequence. I look at it like this. There's a system implementation, which I look at as a vertical line, and then I look at it as the continuous improvement, right? So this is going to be a little bit controversial, but consider the date in which this was recorded. Let's say this is 0 to 10 and of effectiveness as a system. The last planner system might be a 60, but since its inception, it's remained stagnant from a continuous improvement standpoint. CPM might be a 1 out of 10, but it's gotten worse. Its trajectory is downward because of abusive behaviors. The TAC production system might be at an 80, but because we're continuously improving it, it's on an upward trajectory. So let's say Toyota is already an awesome company when they started. Let's put them at a 60 when they started, but their trajectory is up because of continuous improvement. So the radical changes typically happen on the system implementation. Like, do I need another facility? Do I need to switch out this equipment? Do I need another software? These are usually your massive things. But once you actually have your system to a minimum functioning standpoint, you have to start the Kaizen, spot and system and process Kaizen to make it better. And so we have to look at it from a system trajectory standpoint. I'll say something controversial. Free market capitalism in the United States. Let's say that it's at a 60. But because of oligarchy and crony capitalism, it's on a downward trajectory. Let's say communism was at a 1 out of 10. And it's on its way down because of the concepts. Let's look at free market capitalism in Japan. Let's say it was at a 62, but it's on an upward incline because of the way the government manages the system. It's actually still a free market, right? So you always have to look at the system and the trajectory. So Kaizen and Kaikaku are really important concepts for us to learn in construction. And this always comes back to this whole argument of, Jason, should we implement fast or slow? Well, if you're getting the base of the system in, you sometimes have to bite the bullet, pull the Band-Aid, and just implement fast, radically. But once you have the system in place, then you can go to the more gentle, easier on the people method of spot and system or process Kaizen from there. And so hopefully that helps you. So like if I'm going to a job site and they don't have the last planner system implemented, and they don't have the TAC production system implemented, and they don't have morning worker huddles, and they're like, Jason, going to do an afternoon foreman huddle, morning worker huddle is going to be hard on the team. I'm going to go. I'm going. We're switching it to the afternoon. We're doing the morning worker huddles, and we're going to fail at this for a couple weeks until we get it. That's a radical improvement. But then from there, we're going to make slight improvements. But why did I make that radical improvement? Because the system isn't at its base to function ideally. Once it's at its base, then we'll do slow implementation for the people. And actually in Japan, they're not slow. The average employee comes up with like 50 to 100 ideas per year that are improvements. In the United States, we'll do like 1 to 5. And so we've got to get better at this, and we can start tomorrow. So here's my question. Is your system at its minimal functioning composition? Are there any radical changes needed? And then are you improving it on an upward trajectory? I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.